cards on the table. If this seems a bit odd, it's because I've just filmed something else, but I hated it, and now I'm filming this instead. Welcome to Dead Good Book Reviews. I'm Judith, and today I'm bringing you some audiobook recommendations. I was going to say my audiobook recommendations, but honestly, I've not been listening to audiobooks for that long, so this is just some, and in the future, when I have more, I will update you on even more things that I recommend. I say I haven't been listening to audiobooks for a while. That's a lie. I have been. There was a time in my life, and still kind of is a time in my life, where I can't sleep unless I have something on in the background, and audiobooks are perfect for that. I have a vivid memory of me and my brother used to share 2 rooms that were off a little corridor, so we'd have rooms like this, and I'd have my CD player near the door, like a big chunky CD player that could still play cassette tapes, you know, that kind of thing. I remember waking up in what was probably not that late, but is quite late if you're a child, and like, I cannot get back to sleep. I will put my CD back on. And I went and I put it back on. The thing is, it's a Horrible Histories CD, and I don't know if anyone remembers the old, I think they must have been BBC Radio Horrible Histories CDs, but they started with like a blood-curdling scream. It was quite horrible, and I used to have to turn the volume all the way down and then press play and wait till I thought the scream would probably be over, and then gradually inch the music back up so that I could listen to the Horrible Histories while I fell asleep. Kind of explains a lot if that kind of weirdness was getting into my subconscious. Anyway, now that I read a lot more, I love audiobooks. I really, really do. I pretty much always have an audiobook on the go unless I am in between them and I can't pick a next one. And at the moment I am so decision fatigued with audiobooks, you would not believe. I have amassed a library of 30 apparently, looking through, maybe 29. I think one of them was bought on a whim that I'm never going to listen to because it looks terrible. And I thought I would share with you some of them that I've really enjoyed, some of them that I really recommend. My biggest thing with audiobooks is I really like to use them to tackle big lengthy books that are going to have a lot of names in, because that is the thing I am worst at in physical books. A lot of these have quite a bit of kind of politics and remembering-y name stuff. I have my laptop down here with my full Audible library. Very much like my Kindle, this is a bit of a time capsule. It's just less interesting than before. So a lot of the time, if I love an audiobook, I will listen to it multiple times, and if I love an audiobook for a single book, I'll probably try and read the whole series that way. It's just the way that my brain works. So my first recommendation is the book The Ancestor Trilogy by Mark Lawrence. This is probably my most listened to set of audiobooks on my devices. The books themselves follow a main character called Nonna. She is a young girl when the books start and grows up through the books. But yes, it's murder nuns, it's good fun, and I think the audiobook narrator, who are you narrated by, friend? I think the narrator Helen Duff is just phenomenal. She does a lot of different accents for the different characters. They're really recognisable, at least I felt so. So when people pop back up in later books, you're like, oh, it's that person with the very strong Liverpudlian accent for a fantasy book. It's just fun. I'm just entertaining myself looking through what else she's narrated, but I haven't read any of them, so there we go. I love these books anyway, but I think the audiobooks are well worth a listen, especially if they're on your TBR but you've not been sure. For some reason, one of the paperback editions of Red Sister looks absolutely huge. It's not that long of a book, I promise. I also have Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone in Italian on here, because at one point I thought that would be a great way to learn Italian. Choices. My next recommendation, I only have one of them on here. I have Lirael, but the Sabriel books, the Abhorsen series, Garth Nix's Necromancy series, if you listen to the audiobooks, they are narrated by Tim Curry, and it is just excellent, profoundly wonderful. They're great books anyway. I don't know who narrates the newer ones, but to be honest, I don't really rate the newer ones, so I'd go back to kind of the first, I think it's an original trilogy kind of thing, they all fit together. Go back to those, listen to those. Profoundly wonderful. And Tim Curry doing the voice of a cat, it's just lovely. They're really, really good. You know I love me some necromancy, so this is the way to go. Next, I would really recommend, I'd recommend reading them anyway, but I would recommend the audiobooks for the Gentleman Bastard series, the first of which is Lies of Locke Lamora by Scott Lynch. This is an unfinished series, so I can't speak to it as a whole. Most of the things I've listened to are finished, I think. Probably. The first 3 are out on audiobook and in real life, and they are so good, and the audiobooks are so good. They're narrated by Michael Page. I don't normally like books with male narrators, especially audiobooks, but because the book is mostly men, it makes sense. He narrates a lot of Steve Erickson's stuff, so I guess he's an epic fantasy kind of man. I just really love these stories. They're heisty. If you love stuff like Six of Crows, if you were a big Gilded Wolves fan, if you want to go into more of an adult direction with that, these I think are wonderful. What they will do is ruin all other heisty books for you, so maybe go in with that warning, but they are really, really good. I have one of these next to me from the thing I tried to film earlier, Children of Time and Children of Ruin by Adrian Tchaikovsky. I hadn't ever tried to read these, and I'm really glad that I picked them up in audiobook in the end, because It's a lot of stuff to keep track of, which is one of the things that I really struggle with in written fiction, in like physical books, whereas in audiobooks, something about the way my brain processes things, I remember character names better, I remember what's happening better. I think it's because it forces me to slow down, which if you don't know if you can tell, but I kind of operate a mile a minute. And even though I listen to audiobooks at 3 times speed most of the time, yeah, I just think these are wonderful. If you've ever wondered what the world would be like with sentient space spiders, that's really hard to say, sentient space spiders, then these are the books for you. I mean, what are you doing? Should I end this video with audiobooks I really don't recommend? I might have to do that. Stick around to the end to see what I don't recommend. If you are following along with my TBRs and so forth, you'll know that I'm kind of gradually working through Robin Hobb via audiobook. I do own the Live Ships trilogy. I own kind of 2 of them, I think, but I've decided to go the audiobook route because A, the narrator, whose name I've forgotten. I don't know any of these narrator names. I don't know why I'm starting sentences. Paul Bomer, was it a man?
In the Chelsea States.
Yeah, it was. The narrator Paul Bomer for the Assassin's Apprentice trilogy was very, very good. I enjoyed that. And then I can't remember who narrated the first one of the Rainwilds trilogy, but that was very good as well. I think I'm going to have to bow to public pressure and go back and read Live Ships first, even though I wanted to read Dragons and I don't care. I don't like being told I'm doing things wrong, so I'm going to have to go back into it the other way. Never mind. Would really recommend. I think that's kind of my general thing, is if there's ever a book series that you keep meaning to start, but you're like, I really don't think this is an endeavour I cannot go on with, then audiobooks are a really great option. They're not, weirdly, not as high pressure as a book, I find. I don't know if that's just me, and you can fit them around other things you're doing. If you're going out for your daily mandated walk or whatever, you can get some audiobooking in. Or cleaning. That's what I'm planning on doing this afternoon, is cleaning my tragedy of a reading room. My last recommendation is also my most recent. This is another unfinished series. These audiobooks I've talked about before, but they are just amazing, and this is of course the David Bad trilogy. If you haven't encountered these books in any way, shape or form, pick up the audiobooks. I cannot stress enough how amazing they are. I've read these books physically, digitally and via audiobook, and audiobook was by far my favourite. They have a lot of politics, they have a lot of different families. It's just great to have that read to you. I think it's wonderful. I would recommend these till the end of time. Twisty politics, romance that will break your heart, infinite amounts of relationship drama and wonderfulness, but all kept very well contained while still being this kind of sprawling epic story. They're just amazing, and I can't recommend these audiobooks enough. So those are my recommendations. I didn't keep count, I basically just went through what I've enjoyed the audiobooks of. So in whatever, 6 months or so, maybe I'll have another 6 to recommend, or 6 to say avoid. I am going to sneak the ones I did not enjoy right at the end of this video so that I don't feel like a terrible person for doing it. So I'm going to sign off now, and if you don't want to hear me being negative, you can go. Thank you so much for watching this video. I know it was a bit of a mess. I'm a bit of a mess. It's kind of where we're at in the world. Please like this video if you enjoyed it. Comment below with some of your favourite audiobooks. Let me know what you enjoy. I really like watching audiobook recommendation videos because I find browsing Audible such a problem. Also, if you enjoyed this and you haven't already subscribed, please do. It really helps me out. It makes me feel loved and appreciated, which I always like. That's almost all from me, and I will see you in the next one. Right, let's do audiobooks I didn't like. Let me have a look what's in here. So some of these I didn't like because of the narrator, and some of these I didn't like because the book was really stupid, and I think probably the book was really stupid wins out on most of them. I have The Traitor's Game by Jennifer A. Nielsen. I hated this book. The audiobook narrator was frustrating. Flipped between 2, I think. It's like a male perspective and a female perspective, but oh boy, it's just not a very good story. Like, he's her guard, but he also loves her, and it's just everything that I don't like in YA romance rolled into one. That was one that I really didn't like. Sea Fire by Natalie C. Parker very much annoyed me, mainly because the narrator's voice annoyed me. But also, don't sell me a book of female pirates and then not pull it off. Rotherweird? Oh, Rotherweird is just weird. And not in a good way. I didn't like it at all. Couldn't follow it even on audiobook, even with that much slowing down of things. And Red Rising by Pierce Brown. If you love this series, I'm sorry, but I think it's just, the main character is so annoying, so profoundly annoying, and the fact that his love interest gets fridged within however many minutes of the book, just, I wanted to like it because there's so much hype around these books, but nope, stupid, didn't enjoy it. Audiobook did not improve it for me. Yeah, that's all of them. Okay, I'm done being negative now, I'm sorry. Bye!